I wanted to do the show live, but they wouldn't let me do that. They felt that was too risky. As it turned out, it was virtually done live because we recorded it about half an hour before it was played. And I can recall from the outside broadcast theatre that we were working from, running round the corner to the television studio with the tape in my hand and giving it to the operator, who then played it. So it was as good as live. I mean, we didn't stop. So there was an excitement about it. There was really, a lot of fun. And one of the very early pieces that we did, and it just struck me how lenient the television authorities were. It must have been the first or second show, and I was sitting up there with Ken Ellis, my co-host, and said something to the effect, "We've discovered the Prime Minister's family tree." This was Robert Muldoon. And we thought we'd show it to you tonight, and we put up a picture of a silver birch tree. And it was puzzled, and then Ken said, "Yes, this proves distinctively that the Prime Minister is the son of a birch." And it's just, back then, I mean, you didn't normally make comments about that, about public figures like that. The danger with satirizing a character is that you, in the process of making fun of them, you actually legitimize what they're doing. You make it acceptable. So if he had, done some terrible thing to a public figure, which he did to many, and you made fun of that, that sort of softens it. So you have to be very careful about that. Here's an example of what sort of thing that we were edging to. That he walked into he was having a fight with Television New Zealand, or what it was called in those days. And in the sketch we did, he walked into a television studio and tried to take control, demanding the cameras do this, that, and the other thing. And he looked at the camera and said, "It's too dark in here, let there be light." And the lights came on, and he turned to the camera and went, "And there was light." So it was that sort of thing of just trying to prick his ego. There's no doubt he had one. The first series we made, we tried desperately to make it completely and utterly different from A Week of It. Two major problems. One was that that's not what the audience actually wanted. And two, we made it very hard for ourselves by making a comedy sketch show that was an hour long, which is far too long. The audience gets tired. Then we compounded the error even further by making each program on one particular topic. So we did a show about sex, about religion, about money, about death. Now, 45 minutes of jokes about death actually is a bit wearing. We realized that we were on the wrong track. And so when we were commissioned to do another series, we pulled it back to the normal half hour and began to edge into the territory that we left. Not completely, not in the same way. And that's when, in fact, we re-established the connection with the audience. Over the years that we did McPhail and Gadsby, there was no sort of looking down from above, They just, it was almost as if we weren't making a show because no one ever commented on it. There it was, how it went. None of the executives came to see it, Nobody rang up and said, "Oh, I like that," or "I hated that," No, it just went out, bang, 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 bang. I mean, again, the scripts had to be approved. But once that happened, we were left completely to our own resources. Something which does not happen today. It was an ambitious show to make because it was all shot on location. And it had to be shot in a very short period of time. And it involved, because we were perverse enough to write this, things like bulldozers and jet boats and all sorts of manner of things, perfect for slowing a production down. A lot of the stories were actually based on fact. They were real events, either related to us by Blanchy, who had very colourful raconteur, or things that had happened to us, John in particular. We wrote one episode about the three idiots going across to the west coast of the South Island to buy whitebait at the source, and bring it back to Christchurch and sell it at a huge profit. And they, of course, bad-mouthed the locals, and their refrigerated truck broke down and no one would help them. And a man got in touch with Gadsby and said, well, where did you, well, you pinched that from me. What? He said, that's what happened to me when I was a student. That's how I used to make my money. And Gadsby said, no, I didn't. Well, yes, you did. You know, that's exactly what happened. So a lot of the stories people could relate to because they had an uncle or a cousin who was always getting into trouble like this. You know, who was always good intentions, but terrible execution. I think the channel that commissioned it got a surprise when they saw it. Now, they'd obviously approved the scripts. They knew what was in them, you know. But when they saw the actual result in the cold, clear light of day, they panicked. And I don't think they were ashamed of it, but they didn't want many people to know about it because it was a bit weird. So, with the result, that it had played once here, that's fine, you know, and it had a small but a devoted audience. I've never, it very rarely ever had fan letters in my life, you know. But I get fan letters from Australia about 7 periods of Mr Gormsby, from people who want autographs and things like that. It never happened here. The reason was it was played over there. It was played at a good time and has been repeated about three times. So it's actually more popular over there than it is in this country. In life, you meet so few people who are so clearly defined that you know exactly where you stand with them. Their opinions may be totally different from yours, but you're under no doubt as to what they are, and they are unyielding. They won't shift. Our society is made up of accommodating things. You know? So you meet someone who will not change at all. You think that's a bit refreshing, and that's what I liked about him. The last episode of the first series, I'm chucked out of the school, and I'm driving out in that silly old car, and the boys walk across in front of the car, stop me, and they perform a haka, and that's the way it ends. I wanted to know what they were doing because I could hear them practicing. And they said, no, Dave, you can't come in, bugger off, you know, no, this is going to be a surprise. So anyway, we came to shoot the scene, and I became conscious there was a camera right there as I pulled up to the stop, you know. Anyway, the boys came out, and they did it, and I was absolutely blown away. I couldn't believe it. And Danny Muldoon, the director, had got exactly what he wanted, with the camera right there, where you can see there's a tear in my eye. And I thought afterwards, that's rather like Gormsby. That's probably how Gormsby might have responded. It's a very rare privilege to actually work with your son in that capacity. I mean, for all his growing up, I have been in charge, you know, and he has appeared on my shows, done what I have told him to do. It was a delight for the tables to be reversed. And I like what he does. I think he's a very funny writer and a very good director. Given my physical condition, it's not a very good look at the best of times. And also, it can get you into all sorts of trouble. Because once you're out filming, you forget you're wearing it. Because the crew are, you know, they know you're wearing it, and so it's, you know, that's it. And because you're in the city, and because you have periods of time where you don't have anything to do, and you forget you're in this gear, and you walk around a corner, and you suddenly realize that no one can see the film crew. I remember walking along Fort Street in Auckland to go. I was actually thinking of going to a dairy, and then I thought I haven't got any money, and I thought of that before I thought what I looked like, and I just saw these people staring at me, and I thought, oh my God. So, and then of course you say I'm filming I don't know. Get out of it. You know. I sometimes have to stand back and think, how did this happen? Making people laugh is a great privilege and a very satisfactory and rewarding thing to do. And I've liked doing it.